What's up, everybody? David, ProSoloFlipper here. It's been a long time since I made a video. Just thought I'd do an update. I always, every now and then, think about doing YouTube again, and so I'm thinking about it again. We'll just kind of see how it goes. But I kind of want to give you an update. I kind of wanted to talk about, is reselling dead? Is eBay dead? Is it still a viable option, or is it still a viable option to do as a full-time business or not? And I'm just going to jump right into it. Um, I think that for many people that probably reselling is kind of dying, or a lot of people will be quitting in the near future if they haven't already. Just with the rising costs of shipping, of fees, of purchasing inventory, it's just getting more and more difficult to make a living, just through reselling. I'm not saying it's not possible, um, but I've had a few interesting years doing this by myself the last few years. I'm not sure how long it's been since I made a video, 2 or 3 years, at least since I've talked about how well I'm doing or not. For those of you that don't know, I'll just do a quick background. Uh, I was doing eBay on the side part time for a long time. Kind of built it up to see what I could do as I was still working a full time job in a bank management position, and kind of got to the point where I was enjoying reselling so much more that I wanted to see if I could do it as a full time thing, and so I started building it up until I got to the point where I could quit my job. I got the okay from my wife to do that, and in November of 2018, I went full time with reselling, and that's pretty much all on eBay. I do a little bit of Amazon, a little bit of Poshmark, but not very much at all. It's insignificant. And so I did that for about a year and a half or so, and then Melissa, my wife, decided she would join me. So she quit her job, and we both did it full time. That lasted about a year and a half or so, and she decided to go back to work. It was just difficult for us for that to be our only income. It was difficult for us to work together so much. Um, Probably I was hard to deal with. Anyway, so she went back to work. Um, a couple years ago, and so I've been doing this full time by myself. Back to doing it by myself. So in 2021, I did about 208,000 in sales, and then 2022 was kind of a rough year. And that was part of. I think that was the year that Melissa decided to go back to work too. Maybe at the end of that year was 2022. We had increased our listings from like 2,000 to 3,000, and still did slightly less than the year before. So we were expecting to have like a 50% increase. So we were at 200,000 in sales. We were hoping to get, somewhere 250, 300,000. And we only ended up getting 198,000 that year. Um, for whatever reasons, I think it was mostly due to the economy. I wasn't really sourcing that much differently. But then for 2023 and 2024, I did start sourcing a little bit differently. I was starting to get a lot of liquidation, kind of like health and beauty type stuff, like just bottles of vitamins and all kinds of stuff like that. And it was selling very well. It was there very quickly. Um, it was a new sourcing opportunity for me, and at first um, it was really good, and then it got even better. And then what happened was, I would say toward last year was two things happened. One was the availability of that didn't stop but was decreasing, and also the amount of competition in buying that inventory got higher, got more increased, and so I was paying more for what I was getting, still am, and not getting as much. So still that's still the same situation. And so anyway, what happened after 2022, we had 198,000 in sales. 2023, we jumped up to I jumped. I'm by myself now, and I still managed to get up to 244,000. 2024 was even better. I got up to 282,000. And then, like I said, this past year, or I'd say all throughout 2025, the amount of inventory I was able to get was decreasing, and um, the competition was increasing, and so the prices I was getting for the inventory I was getting was higher, and so, and I would say a third contributing factor to the fact that 2025 was not as good was that I had kind of got a comfortable level. I was getting more and more sales, and it was easier to come by with this liquidation stuff. So I was not quite working as hard. And what happened was the availability of inventory started going down. And instead of me picking up elsewhere in my business by sourcing more other stuff, or starting to work harder again, I just kind of was waiting for it to come back available again, and it never really did. It kept decreasing, and so um, So 2024 was 282,000 in sales. 2025 was so much lower. It was been kind of a rough year. So 2025 ended up being 207,000. So that's a huge decrease. It was like a 30% decrease in my sales. And pretty much in my income as well. So you can imagine that's a hit. Still making enough with my wife working full time too. Still doing okay, but I had a couple good years there. That was really nice, and we got really comfortable there for a minute. That's kind of where I'm at now. Still doing the same kind of things. Starting to source a little bit better. Starting to be very much more picky about what I'm buying and making sure that the bigger profit margins are there. And so back to the general question: is reselling full time still possible? Is selling on eBay still worth it? The answer is yes and no. Like I said, I think a lot of people who were struggling to just barely make it by in the last couple of years, maybe throwing in the towel. I'm not really sure. So if like I said, if they're just struggling and everything is getting so much more expensive, I mean, if you just compare the shipping costs alone have gone up, I would say 50% almost. And for a lot of the categories, like if you used to use padded flat rate mailers, not that long ago they were like $7.95, and now they're like $11. And so I don't even use padded flat rates anymore. I sell pretty much everything ground advantage. Bigger stuff I'll send FedEx ground. But yeah, the rising cost of shipping has gone up so much. Fees have gone up a little bit on eBay, but now they've got the new promoted listings, which just kind of seems like a scam. But what are you going to do, right? eBay is still a viable place to sell stuff. They just changed this beginning of this month to promoted listings being like if anybody clicks on it now, whether that person buys or not, if a future person buys it without even seeing the promoted listing, you still have to pay the promoted listing fee, which, like I said, it kind of feels like a scam, but what are you going to do? I haven't really noticed a huge increase in my fees from that yet. I certainly haven't noticed an increase in my sales. What I thought would happen was my sales would stay the same and my fees would go up. And so I'll give it a couple more months to kind of do some analysis on whether that's what's really happening. But I don't know. So far, I haven't really noticed a huge difference. I think with I tend to promote everything around 2%. And so my fees generally are around 16 to 17% total for the stuff that I sell. This year, focusing going forward, I am not going to quit reselling. So it's, I've always said that if it doesn't work out for me well enough, that I'll start up another business. And so I have looked into that. I did buy a stump grinder last year and haven't really got that started yet. I was doing some stumps on my property and that thing broke down on me, and so I didn't even get that business off the ground. It's currently with the mechanic, and hopefully we're going to be back up and running, and so we'll see if I start that up in the spring or not. But as far as eBay is going, my plan for this year is just to be much pickier in the stuff that I source, work harder, get back to grinding a little bit harder, instead of being so distracted during the day, and also list so much of the stuff that I have on hand already, so that way I'm being pickier. I'm only picking up the profitable stuff, and then also working on the stuff that I have. I have a large storage unit full of stuff, so if I could start getting that stuff listed, then I will. But that's kind of the update with me. What's going on with me? I may be looking at doing some more videos in the future. I kind of got burnt out back in the day. I feel like I had talked about everything there was to talk about. I didn't really want to keep going over it again, like repeating myself. And so I'm not sure. I could start doing some videos again about what's actually selling for me and stuff like that, and throw in some tips in there. I might start doing that. I might start picking up some storage units. I know that's a much cheaper way to get inventory. It's very profitable, but I have to make room for that first if I'm going to start doing that. So anyway, guys, if you guys have any questions or any comments for me, just put them in the comments below. I'll respond to all your comments. Let me know how things are going for you compared to the last couple of years. How things are going for you. Are you still doing it? Are you hanging in there? Do you have any plans to stop anytime soon? Like I said, I just wanted to give an update, check in with everybody. It's been a couple of years. I just see that occasionally I still get a comment on some of my videos, people asking where I've gone, but I'm still here plugging away. I still enjoy it. I have gotten a little more back into thrifting a little bit just because I enjoy that, and I feel like you could still, depending on where you go, you can still get some pretty profitable items. So anyway, thanks for watching. Give me a like, share, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and let me know if there's some videos that you would like to see in the future. Thanks for watching. Thanks, guys. Bye.